Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where my primary view went. Maybe it was this. Hi, everybody. Tenacious Earl here, and we're going to finish off our friendly, friendly 18 amongst friends. Again, they're playing a $5 Nassau here, and I forgot to adjust all of the things before we got started here, so just bear with me. So, the front nine was interesting in the fact that, actually it will be, let's see, Chris and then Al. So Mike was red, Ben, that we're doing automatic pushes, or presses, which means that you start up new bets as soon as the old bets get to a 2-up spot where one team is up 2 on the other. And so in the case of the front nine, in 2 holes, Benny Bladolini and Al Red Sox fan got out to a 2-0 lead. So we started a new bet here on the 3rd hole, and then from that point forward, things sort of evened out a bit. And it turns out Mike McAllister in Stratomatic, Delaware, better known as Chris, their team took 3 of 7 holes, so a 3-2 win on that second bet. So basically the 2 bets cancel each other out. Because if you notice here, again, if you follow the green on the top here, it's 4 for Benny and Al, and you get 3 for Mike and Chris, so 4-3. So that's actually the overall. That's an overall bet that keeps going for the whole round. But we really do start over here for the back 9. So. That's where we'll start here with these guys. They're going to have another $5 riding on that. So for the front 9, everything is even. That's all done and dusted. The front 9 and then this secondary one that's worth 7 holes, they basically even each other out. So we're going to go with the back 9 and we'll see how this all works out. And it will be number 10 is where we will start here at Gulf City Stadium course, which is PGA West. So snaking alongside another pond, the 10th hole requires precision off the tee. And there is a roll right here with 12 that will go into the water, clank off some rocks, and hit the water if it's a bad tee shot. So, course control number 4, and we will go with Mike McAllister first. Actually, no, we won't. It'll be Chris first. Is that right? That is right. So, one moment as I get things correct here. Okay, here we go. So, Chris, Stratomatic, Delaware. And it will be a roll off of his card. His traits will decide on this par 4, 405 yards, what happens. 2, 4, 5. He's not a legend, so he will have to rely on his short game to get up and down. Green 2 means we check to see if he has a stone quality, and he doesn't, so he will have an opportunity to potentially knock this in. We re-roll the white die. If it is a 1, it's got a chance to go in, and it's a 5, so that will be a moderate par putt for Stratomatic Delaware. He's purple. And we are doing match play, kind of playing each guy down to the green, and then we putt in from there. So Mike McAllister, Chris's teammate, also gets a white 1, which means it goes off of his traits 1, 4, 5, Duffer or Gilded. Nope, neither of those. So also going to be a short game check, and this time it's a 1 on the green die. But that checks to see if he's, well, if he were soft, he would chip it in. Instead, it'll be a pin shot. So, another pin. This time, Mike gets a 3. That'll be an easy par putt. So, a couple of pars look likely here for the team of Strat, Delaware, and Mike. And now Al, Red Sox fan, will be next up here on the tee at the 10th. And it'll be 16, which is going to be in the bunker. He's lucky to find the bunker there. It was very close. Sandwiched between 2 water rolls. So we check par 4, first shot, sand 5. Is he sandy? He is not. So he will have a difficult putt for par. And thus, things looking good for Strat, Delaware, and Mike to maybe get off to a good start here, as you've got a... Now, Al could use a blue chip to try and grease the skids here and give himself a better chance, but we'll see Benny. And a 13, he will be in the rough off the tee. So, and then a 2, is he a master? No, he's not. So he will have a moderate second putt for par. So the favor lies with Chris and Mike at the moment. Al is trying to decide whether he wants to give that blue chip away to make it a moderate par putt as well, and he will. So he won't be patient with that. He's gonna trust that this will help, and he does. He did need it. That's a 5. So 1 to 5 on the moderate par. Forgot to move his over, but that will be a par for Al. And so now everybody's got a chance here at a par. Let's see, does anybody miss? Next up will be Chris, and he does. Strat, Delaware makes a bit of a mess of that one, and now it'll be Benny Bladolini. He has the same chance. This one goes in, and it looks like the tables have turned, and yeah, that's basically going to put Benny and Al out in front. So it'll be an easy par for Mike, and he makes it. And then for Chris, not so happy with this one. He takes the easy bogey. But that means that the first hole ends up going to, or the 10th hole at least, goes to Benny and Al. A little bit of a tough break there. But Al did use a chip. Other guys could have, but I decided that they will try to hold on to those for a later time. We'll see how that works out. Mr. Moley. Spend your Friday evening watching HMG and a rerun of the Pens Capitals. Well, I don't need to see a rerun of that game. Okay, so Chris will be the one who takes the fall all the way to the back of the line. Everybody else moves up one in order as Chris bogeys. Another thing we could do here is we could also run a skins, and I did that with some other golfers, and maybe we'll do that at some point here. What could be fun is just to run a skins among these guys, and whenever you put in the way we do it in the tournaments I play in, you put in a certain amount of money. In that case, $5 for probably $20 for each team. And any hole that gets a singular score in that tournament, the singular lowest score pays out to that whatever the pot is, and then you divide it amongst the number of holes that end up working that way. But okay, here we go with Mike and this cordial, semi-cordial hole. So a relatively easy course rating for this hole, but then the green rating is semi-challenging. So not many hazards on this undulating hole until you've arrived at the well-guarded green, 591. Not that reachable. And Mike will have a 336. Is he hot? Not at the moment. He is just neutral. So he is not gilded and he is not dynamic. So go to experience, and he doesn't have any. With the green 3, though, that checks to see if he's a prospect, and he is at least neutral. So that helps him. He'll have an easy putt for birdie. 1-4 here at the 11th. Now, Al, Red Sox fan, shot a cool 34 on the front. We'll start off with a par, and not a double cordial hole. So, without blue chips, he will take his par. And with some of these cards, you might want to put a little bit of pressure on the other team. Benny Blades now. Benny Bladalini. So with 5-6-6, par 5. Not a legend, not a hacker. Is he he's not a champion. So Golf Cam Green with a dot means it'll be challenging on this playing of it. And so a 6, par 5, 6. Is it friendly? No. Is he laser? No. So he's going to have a clutch putt for par. So Mike and Chris have a chance maybe to tie this up if Chris can work himself into a birdie opportunity here. See what happens. And at 1, 2, 3, this may be it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Is it direct? It's not. He's not gilded, and he's not a champion, so it'll be a moderate putt for birdie with a blue chip. So the way this is going to work out is Chris and Mike are going to talk about it, and Chris is going to hold on to his blue chip and let Mike use his. Or that's going to be their strategy here, to try and get at least one birdie, which will give them the whole win and have the, or all square the match. So Mike will actually be Chris first, moderate putt for birdie, 1 to 2, and it's a 6, so he will have an easy par putt. Now it'll be Mike. Now, because Chris missed that, he will use his blue chip, gain some confidence. Now he can, as long as he avoids the 6-6, that will be a birdie, and that would be his first birdie of the round, and it's in. That's a 4-6, and a little closer than he'd like for comfort. So that ensures, well, no, it doesn't quite ensure. Chris needs to make this for his easy par. Again, avoiding double 6s in the hole. So that will give them a 9 on the hole, and that will allow them to win it. So now a clutch putt for Benny. He's semi-gold, and he is going to roll on that. He wants a second blue chip. Oh, and he gets jobbed by it. There goes his chip. And he will end up with an easy bogey putt. So, I believe it was a 6. Even if he had used the blue chip, he would have not made the putt. So that is a 6, and it will be Mike and Chris squaring it up there on the 11th. Going to 12 now, par 4. Another relatively easy hole here. It's going to go off mostly the player's cards here on only a 2 degrees of course control. Although a moat of sand surrounds the green, the 12th hole is a good opportunity to gain a stroke. So Mike will stay in the honor position, and we'll stick with Al, but Benny, with his bogey, will drop behind Chris in the order, and it'll be Mike McAllister. So, once I get a little further along, I want to talk about some things I'm going to change here coming up. So, here we go with Mike on the 12th, trying to build off of a birdie after a rather forgettable front nine. 1-2-6 here on the par 4. It's not direct, so is he stone? He's not, so he'll have a mood putt. Mike is not moody at all, but it's going to be a tough one. Difficult putt for par. And he would be stormy if he misses that. So, right off the bat, not such an easy situation. Now it'll be Al. And a 1-4-5 for him. Duffer or gilded? No, it's going to be a crazy bounce into the longer stuff. And a 1. Is he soft? Semi-soft with a dot. He chips it, and it is in the hole. That's another birdie for Al, Red Sox fan. A 3 on 12. And that is going to mean Chris has to find a way to a birdie putt here. Or it would also be helpful if Benny made a mess of this hole. So here's Chris. So off the course card, 14. It's in the sand with a 2. First shot sand and a 2. Is he sandy? He is not. So he'll have an easy second putt for par, and it's going to mean that Benny does need to have some kind of a problem here. And it'll be a 35. That'll be Golf Cam course with a cordial hole. I think this is going to be just fine. Clutch putt for birdie. Looks like Al and Benny will retake the lead with 1 up. And so we've got first Mike. Now, one thing that Mike could do to avoid stormy or sunny is to lag. But he's feeling lucky here. He is going to roll on the difficult par putt. 1-3. And he misses, so he will be stormy. Trying to keep it somewhat realistic. So now we will roll with Mike on the moderate bogey, and he does make that. So he follows up his birdie with a bogey, and he becomes stormy in the process. So that's unfortunate. Now it'll be Chris with his easy par. Hole all but decided now. So now it'll be Benny with a 1-4 chance at a birdie. He'd get that blue chip back if he makes it, and he does. So if you remember the blue chip that he lost on a clutch putt, he makes this clutch putt. And he gets his second birdie, and with a 6 total on 12, they regain the lead. So, okay. So, Chris and Mike take it on the chin there a bit. And we're just going to rearrange the cards here. I believe Chris had the blue chip. All right. So 13. He did because he had Mike use his on the 11th. So 1 up for Benny and Al, and it'll be a tough par 3, 195 yards. Pond to the left, bunkers to the right, aim true, and good luck. And let's see. Okay, Benny is a scatter, so he's the one guy that's got to watch out for this. Scatter or hacker on a 13 roll or a 15 roll has some trouble with the pond. So let's see what happens here with semi-daunting, semi-challenging 13, the par 3 Al Red Sox fan. And again, well, I have to explain the rules for a semi-daunting hole taking control, but it will be a 22. It'll be, he just misses the water, it finds the rough. And a 5. Is he a master? He's not, so he'll have a difficult putt for par. Brings up Benny. So let's real quick explain. So a daunting hole, you need to use 2 blue chips to take advantage of it. I realized recently that I was misplaying. I don't know how often I took control on a daunting hole with blue chips, but you need to use two chips on a daunting hole, okay? Now, if you want to take control on a semi-daunting hole, here is the procedure you have to do that. You have to use a blue chip before you roll any die. So you take your first blue chip, you throw it in. You then roll the decider die. If it's a dot, you have to use a second blue chip. Or if you don't have a second blue chip, it's the course control, you get nothing back. You've squandered the blue chip you used to try to gain control. If it comes up as a blank, the decider die, then you owe nothing further. You get control of the hole. So in this case, Benny, he's going to hold on to that blue chip. But that's the way that you play a semi-daunting hole if you want to try to get control. And so it will be a 35, and it will be golf cam course. So Benny hits a nice shot here. And because it's not daunting, it's a blank there, so he will, and a 2, he will have an easy putt for par. So relatively inconsequential playing of this hole for Benny. Plays it again, it might be completely different. Here's Mike McAllister. He also gets a 3. This is a 25, and it's going to be golf cam green, but he does get the decider die in his, well, not working for him, working for the hole. And so it's a challenging green because of that, and he'll have a clutch putt for bogey. So we're going to end up having a press here, it looks like, as this hole, if they make both of their pars, Mike and Chris, or no, not Mike and Chris, Al and Benny, although Al's is a bit of a crapshoot there. So here's Chris. Let's have him play this hole first. Okay, and there's a 26. So golf cam course, decider die again. That's not great. Cordial, no. Laser, no. Clutch putt for par. So he doesn't have the daunting really hurt him. But first it will be Al. And him and Al and Benny, they discuss it, and Al will again use his blue chip to try and improve the chance. They know that if they can get a par, if they get 2 pars, they have taken control and won this hole, and it's going to be in a good use of the chip, as it would have been a miss had he not, and that's a 3, and now it's just a matter of, so that was Al. Now Benny just needs to make the 6-6 miss putt. He's going to hold on to that blue chip for later. And so 2 pars. And it's going to press now because that will put them 2 up. There's no way that Chris and Mike can tie this hole. So Chris with a clutch putt for par needs a 1-5. And he makes it. So he'll get another blue chip. But it will be Mike McAllister with a clutch putt for bogey that is going to be the weak link on this hole. Needs a 1-3. And he misses, so that's going to leave an easy double. And Mike makes that, but a 5. And that sets in motion the press, which will now start a new bet. So 2 birdie 3s on 12, and now 2 par 3s on 13, and that puts Benny and Al up. And so For those of you watching after the fact, I might as well take this moment since it's somewhat halfway, to take a moment and say, I am looking to I'm going to look to, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you for some help. Anybody who's watched these, would you prefer more realistic cards, i.e. cards that are a little less forgiving? Like, we have Al, Red Sox fan, here with a 34. Would Al really shoot a 34 in real life? Probably not. I don't know. He may be a good golfer. I'm not sure. Do we want cards that might give a 35 on the front, but also 45? Or do we want cards that do you think it would be better to leave them this way, that are sort of like hit or miss? Or do we want cards that are going to bring people it's going to be a little less realistic? So everybody ends up with relatively good cards. I'm leaning myself towards making the cards a little less good. I'd like to add some a little bit more difficult qualities, like the yeoman, like the workman, the hacker, and because I own the course creation document, I have an idea for how much different traits affect each player that has those traits. And that what I could do is I could set up Excel to calculate what the expected average score would be based on those traits. And so when I do that, what does that mean? Well, what that means is I could actually create handicaps without really... I could start with that to make handicaps as far as like what the average would be, and then begin using empirical data from rounds that we play to then inform what the handicaps will be down the road. And the trouble with all of this is it takes a number of rounds to build up a rating. So if you know what I'm talking about, to build up a handicap. And the other thing that we don't have with these courses, now what I could do is I could use the real life slope and rating for courses. But most, the USGA handicap does tend to use, it would have slope and rating factored into their calculations, and we don't have that. So there are ways around that. You can kind of have some sort of fudge factor handicaps and things like that. But that's kind of what I like to do, because I'd like to, if you notice here, in both of in this match especially, Al and Benny have clearly been on the better end of things. And part of that is that they're both good putters. Chris and Mike are a little bit less. You also have Al, who's got a really good iron rating. He's a hero there. And he's also semi-dynamic. So what I would do, what my personal preference is to try and erode, make new cards for everybody, but kind of erode the traits to try and bring it down to where everybody's kind of shooting the high 70s, maybe low 80s, have it feel a little bit more like us really playing, as opposed to us being like dream pro golfers. So leave a comment if you have any thoughts on that. You think cards for amateurs should be inferior? Yeah, that's my thought too. We should not be afraid of puny, hacker. Yeah, and exactly. And if you go to the Play website, if you go under news and you look in the newsletter section on their website, where they have a list of articles that are that are part of the newsletter, one of them has. I mentioned this in another video, Sam Snead's Celebrity Golf, and it's got a number of celebrities from Fred McMurray's one of them. If you remember him, he was in maybe Flubber. You've got like Bing Crosby and James Garner, who's actually one of the better celebrity golfers. Bing Crosby there. But in those golfers, maybe one of the Marx brothers, I think, was in there. they're not good. And actually, some of those that are really not good, you're supposed to add chips if they get a 6 roll, like red chips, I mean. So I'm still, this is still percolating in my head, but that's kind of the way I'm going. So don't be surprised if we do have a league here at some point, and with handicaps to try and make it more competitive, so we're not doing so much of this where it seems like one team is beating out. So we do have a press here. Benny and Al are 2 up, and so Mike and Chris are going to try through this automatic press to even it out. But in the full round right now, it is let's see, 7 hole wins for Benny and Al to 4 for Mike, so they're 3 up overall for the whole round. Now we're going to 14, which is another par 4, which should be pretty easy. Course control rating of 2, semi-cordial, semi-friendly green, so nothing too dangerous for these guys. Avoid the cavernous bunker guarding the left of the green if you want to score par or better. And if you get this 12 here, you end up with a putt that's 1 degree of difficulty tougher. So, and I forgot to reorder things, and it'll be Mike dropping to the back. Chris and Mike, you can tell they haven't been playing so well because they've been spending a lot of time to the back of the pack. Here's Benny, or not Benny, Al first. Course control, 25, and it will be golf cam course with a 3 on a par 4 without the decider dice, so it won't be cordial this time. 3, cordial hole no, daunting hole no, clutch putt for par for Al, so he's got a little bit of a knee knocker here. So Benny Bladolini, and he gets a 6. Oh, and I think I only added part of it. So for really poor golfers in that Sam Snead celebrity golf version of History Maker Golf, if you get the 6, it turns out the course automatically gets control. So there's no player control. They don't get an automatic par. Instead, it's going to be course controlled, and then you earn at least 1 red chip and sometimes 2 if they're really bad. So it's going to be a chance for Benny to take a par here. We aren't playing with that rule at the moment. And he, instead of challenging the green, he's going to take a par and put some pressure on Chris and Mike. So here's Chris. He gets a 6 of his own. And with 2 blue chips, he will, I think he's going to attack the green here. So let's give it a shot. Now, the only thing is he doesn't have a master, so the best he could do is, if he rolls a 1, he gets a moderate putt for birdie, but he could use his 2 blue chips, even if he gets a difficult. So, being a little bit aggressive here, we're going to re-roll the white die, and it's a 6. He's going to have a difficult putt for par, and that strategy did not work out well. So, Delaware can complain. All right, Mike. Well, now Mike really has to kind of challenge this hole, although he doesn't have any blue chips, so he will take a par and hope that his partner can par and they would get halvesies on this hole. So Mike takes a 4, takes the simple par, and so now it's going to be up to Chris. Now he does have blue chips, and maybe this is actually a part where it might make sense because he's going to put the pressure on Al to make his gold clutch putt. And Chris will use 1 to move himself to moderate. Now, if he rolls a 6 here, that's extremely poor luck. He's got like an 84% chance of making this, and he does. So that is a 4, and now the pressure on Al, which he's a good putter here. Gold, and can he make it? Needs a 1 to 5, and it's a 5, so he will earn a blue chip, make his par, and it's going to be, the hole will be halved. All right, So 15 is semi-daunting. Straight and true tee shot is required to stay out of trouble. If you're going to miss the green, miss long. 15 gets you the exclamation mark, and the course controls everything except the 6, and it'll be the same order here for 15. So all square with the press bet. Still 2 up for Benny and Al in the back 9 overall. 36, he'll find the rough, Al will, with his second shot. And a 4, not a workman, so he'll have a moderate putt for par. Shouldn't make too hard a work out of that. Benny Blades with the 2 blue chips here. He could actually try to, if he had a better card, he could try to play the old take control of the daunting hole. Instead, he'll go 23. He's also in the rough in 2, but this time he has a 1. Now he's a semi-workman with a dot, though. He's going to have a moderate putt for par as well. If he with the 1, if he was not the workman, if he had the decider die blank, he would have a pin shot. Instead, he will join his partner with a moderate putt for par. Now, can Chris or Mike find a way to a birdie putt here on this hole? Let's see. 14 in the rough with 1 and a 6. That's not good. Chris, double difficult putt for par. And so this course, this round has not been the friend of these guys at all. So Mike McAllister. And 24, golf cam green, not challenging, so a 3 on a par 4. Not a challenging green. He'll have a clutch putt for birdie. This is what they need. Mike only 1 to 3, though. He can use a blue chip to make it 1 to 5, so that's probably what they will do. And what that means is that to keep this square, well, there's 2 approaches to this. Chris could play the double difficult. Now, he needs a 1 for that. If he makes it, he gets a second blue chip, and all is great. If he misses it, then you get a bogey. Now, you got Al and Benny, who are both on 1 to 5. They could use blue chips. Benny actually could. See, all this could precipitate. What Al and Benny want to do here is make their pars. But Chris is the first to play, and what is he going to do? Now, if he uses that blue chip, that's a 1 to 3. It's not a good. He's going to try to make the double difficult. Needs a 1. Can he do it? And that's another reason not to use a blue chip there, because he would have missed that. So now a difficult bogey putt, and let's see, does he want a chance taking the 1 to 3? He will do it. He wants to use the blue chip where it's most effective, and he makes that. So took a chance, makes it. That's a bogey 5, and he's going to have to hope for his partner to make that birdie putt, I think. Of course, first we got to have Al and Benny make theirs, and they've got moderate par putts, so nothing guaranteed here. Al makes it, barely. That's a par. And now Benny with 2 blue chips, he's going to use 1 to make it gimme. So that's going to put the pressure on. Assuming he makes it, and he does. So now the pressure's on Mike to make his birdie putt. If he can make it, then they will square the 15th, and he will. If he misses it, he's going to lose that anyway. So he's going to make himself 1 to 5. Now he's just got to avoid a 6, and he does. Another birdie on the back 9 here for Mike, and that's going to square it up at 8s each. And we're still all square in this press. The first bet still at 2 up for Benny and Al. Mike and Chris need to start making some headway here if they want to. They need to win a hole. Oh, wait, so we had 1 each here, these guys. I got to just change the order. bear with me. 16th is a par 5, so maybe a birdie or two can be found here. Oh, and it's Mike that needed to go up front, not Chris. Get my act together here. Okay. So the 16th, par 5, cordial, semi-direct, so a chance maybe even for an eagle if you can get the right rolls here. Course control number 1, so you've got, if you can get double ones, that can help, or a 1 and a 2 on the non-white dice. But dangerous bunkers line the left of the hole and pose threats to every shot along the way, so lots of exclamation marks there on the left side, and Mike McAllister will play first. 1-2-6. I don't think that'll be enough to get him a moderate birdie. Let's see. 1-2-6. Maybe it will. Dynamic. Oh, wait. Dynamic or a direct green. And with the decider die, it's direct. He's going to have a moderate eagle putt. So Mike gets into a couple of shots and finds himself on the putting surface with a chance. Al, Red Sox fan. I didn't think 1-2-6 would get it, but it did. Oh, and Al is going to end up on the course card 23 in the bunker with his third shot. So he's going to have to get up and down with a 2. Is he sandy? He is not. So he'll have a moderate putt for par. So the door is wide open now. He needs Benny to come through with a big drive here. And 1-4-4. Again, I don't think that's going to be it this time. You need it to. Is he a hacker? No, he's not. Champion? Nope. He will have a moderate putt for birdie. Now, Mike doesn't have a blue chip, so he won't be able to. He'll have to take that 1-2. Now, Chris is going to end up with 26 golf cam course. That should earn him a look at a birdie here, probably. Daunting hole, no. So it's going to be a clutch putt for birdie for Chris, and he's gold putter. So it looks pretty good for Benny and Chris to take the lead in this push, or this press bet, and maybe come close to squaring this thing up. So the first to go will be Mike McAllister with the eagle. So he doesn't have any blue chips. Needs a 1-2 to make an eagle and really set this right back into motion here. And he misses very poorly. He'll have an easy putt for birdie now, though. And that will bring us to Benny with a blue chip. So now they've got 2. Well, he's going to take his chances here. He thinks that this hole is probably lost anyway, so he's going to try and make a 1-2, and it's a 4, so he will miss that. So now a 1-5 for Al for par. He's got that. Par 5. Actually, I forgot to play the other one first, but that's okay. It'll be Mike for birdie, 1-4. And it's a 5, so he's going to end up with a 6-6 miss gimme for par. And so he makes his par, so that really is a 3 putt they couldn't afford to have. Of course, Chris looking like a good chance at a birdie here. So let's see. So the easy putt for par for Benny, and he'll make that. So 3 5s, and now it's up to Chris, Stratomatic Delaware, to make his clutch putt for birdie. Can't get any better than gold. He needs a 1-5. A 6 squares this hole, and it is in the hole. So a birdie for Strat Delaware, and him and Mike get this hole, and they're going to take the lead here on the press, and they pulled it within 1 on the back altogether. So with 2 holes to play. Now, what would be really interesting is if they find a way to win the 17th, then we would get another press for worth 1 hole. So that could be even more interesting. Okay, so it's Chris, then Mike, then Al, then Benny. So semi-daunting par 3. The stadium course is famous island hole. No margin for error. So you've got a lot of water here with a couple of the waters that you get a hero. So Al being a hero or Mike being laser would be able to avoid either of those if he gets those. And so semi-daunting again, Strat Delaware could use a blue chip to try and take control of this. He would need a decide or die blank, but he's just going to go ahead and see how this rolls out. 113 off of his chart, white 1. So it's kind of the what do you want to call it? A coup here for him. Hacker, no, he'll have a moderate putt for birdie. So that may set these guys into Mike's got to avoid these hazards here. Can Mike avoid the hazards? And he gets a 2 on the white die, and he's going to have a 115. So another great shot here. Champion, no. But he'll have 2 moderate putts for birdie here from Mike and Chris. So that really puts the onus on Al and Benny to try and put it on the green here. Can they do it? And Al will, let's see. Yeah, they'll take the par. Well, he could. Yeah, I mean, why would you take a double difficult putt for birdie? Chances are pretty slim. Earn another blue chip and try to win 18. That'll be a par for Al. And he's going to leave it up to his playing partner, Benny. And what happens here? And it'll be 3-3-4. Benny's not a champion, so it'll be golf Cam Green. And let's see, on a par 3 with a 3, not a challenging green. It's going to be a clutch putt for birdie for Benny. So and with a blue chip, he could make himself 1-5. So we got some drama here. Got Al plugged in already with a par. And you've got Chris and Mike both with moderate birdie putts, and then you've got Benny with the clutch birdie putt. And because they're partners, we're going to say that Mike can take his putt first. They're both at the same level of putt. Usually I play in the playing order, but instead I'm going to say that they make an agreement amongst each other that they will, because Chris doesn't need to make a birdie here if Mike does. So Mike will be first with a 1-2. If he can get a 1 or a 2 here, why would Chris use that blue chip? So here we go. And it's a 6. Mike hasn't made too many putts here. So now he'll have an easy par. But now Chris, knowing that Benny has a semi-gold with a blue chip for birdie, Chris will use his blue chip to make it 1-4 and put the wheels in motion, try to take control of this situation and give himself a better shot at a birdie. And it's a 5. He misses, so the strategy backfires. And now it'll be Mike with his easy par. He will make that. Chris will have a gimme par, and he makes that without a problem. But now it's going to be Benny with a clutch birdie putt with a blue chip to throw in there to make it 1-5. And he makes it. So that squares the press, and it puts them back to 2 up on the overall. And so it's going to come down to 18. Will either team take this? But Benny gets a nice birdie here. Uses up the rest of his blue chips. Al's got 2 to spend. He's got 2 in the bank. And let's get this played out here. We'll go to 18. Par 4. No daunting, no challenging. One more water hazard to deal with before signing the scorecard. Course control of 4. So you're going to have guys who are going to have to deal with potentially left water on the left here. So golfers will need some gas left in the tank to birdie the final hole. Now, it's not... Al could definitely use his blue chip here to take control of the hole if he wants. And being a hero, he might want to do that. So Benny first. It might depend on what Benny gets here for his drive. And a 6 means he'll take a par, and that's a big score right now. No use for the blue chip, but he'll have it anyway. And that will close out his round. 16 and 8, 24, and 7, 31, and 4 is 35, right? Go the other way. 6, 5, 11... 8, 19, and 6, 25, and 10, 35. So that is a 77 plus 5 for Benny. Not too shabby. Next up, it'll be Chris. Strat, Delaware. And it's going to be 23 in the sand with a second shot. So things not looking good with a 5. He's not sandy, so he'll have a difficult putt for par, and that might just salt this away for, well, I don't want to say anything because Al could still find the water. But here's Mike. Well, Mike will, with his partner struggling for a par here, he is going to attack the green. So a 1 is about the best he can hope for right now. He gets a 4, so that will be, is he a master? No. Is he a workman? No. Difficult putt for birdie. So Mike eschews an easy par there, so now it'll be up to Al. And Al will use one of his blue chips to take control, so he can avoid all the water rolls there. 3, 5, 5. Is he king? He's not. Hacker, no. Experience chart. And with a 5, it's going to check to see if he's prospect. This will be just fine. Moderate putt for birdie for Al. And it's not a gimme, but it's just about a gimme. So first, it will be Mike with his difficult birdie. This could put some pressure on if he can make this. Mike needs a 1 for a birdie 3 here, his third birdie on the back. If he can get it, and it's not going to be. That'll leave him moderate par. Now it'll be Al with his 1 to 2 birdie chance. He will use the last blue chip he has, make it 1 to 4, and it's in the hole. Al with another birdie here on the back. Let's see what he's got here. 9 and 8, or 9 and 6 is 15. 8 is 23, and 8 is 31. Another 34. I've got him down as a 68 here. A nice -4 round for Al, if that's correct. No bogeys on the back. 2 birdies. Let's see, on the front he had a birdie, a bogey, a birdie, an eagle, and a bogey for 2 under. And then he had 2 under on the, wow, Al, a nice round there. All right, so I think that pretty much salts it away. What do they got here? They've got 2 putts for 4. So, well, wait a second. Benny with the did I mess up my? I did. This was Chris for a difficult par. I grabbed the wrong one. Benny had an easy had a tap-in par, or whatever you want to call it, a 6. So it's going to be Chris with his difficult par, and he misses that, so now it'll be moderate bogey. We'll have Mike go first, moderate par, makes that. So for him, 18 and 7, 25 and 8, 33 and 4, 37, 78 plus 6. And it'll be Chris rounding it out here with his moderate bogey. He'll make that 10, 17 and 9, 26 and 7 is 30. 17 and 9, 26 and 7, 33 and 5 is 38, 77 plus 5. So Al, the one who really causes the problems here for these groups, he had an excellent round, -4. So on the back, the first bet, Benny and Al they are at 5-2, 3 up. They'll earn $5. The back, they'll also get back B. Also, they're at a 2-1, so that's 10 for them. The front was even, and then for the total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll get another 5 for that. So $15. Mike and Chris, you guys owe. It's not my fault. Someone was going to end up getting paired with Al, and it wasn't you guys. So Benny gets the benefit of a nice round there. So I got to take this off. I'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Interesting round here. Again, leave comments as far as how you think I should adjust cards or what I should do if I do a league. Thanks a lot.